You can't change yet.
Me and Jimmy didn't get the memo.
Okay.
You can ask Bill. I've come a long way since I was mayor in Cal City.
Okay.
Let the record show.
At least he's not wearing blue shorts.
And it's flip-flops. Let the record show that all the directors are in attendance. We have an agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Parker, Mr. Deaver. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed being none, agenda is adopted. Any community announcements?
I have a couple, and I gave all my Veterans Day flyers away. God,
Do you want to borrow one,
I
Kathy?
got it. Ta-da! Veterans Day is coming up. It's actually November 11th, but we will have our ceremony here at Mojave Air and Spaceport in Legacy Park on the observed on the 12th at 11 a.m. And our speaker is a young man from China Lake, Lieutenant Jason Miller, and he's a backseater, RSO in the FA-18, and his wife was telling me that I believe it was her great-grandfather, served in World War I. And since we're commemorating the end of World War I, 100th anniversary, I thought it appropriate to have him speak. And the color guard will be from the Air Force JROTC at Roseman High. And the gentleman that will be playing taps is from California City. So I'm trying to involve all the communities in our ceremony, and I hope you all can make it. That's Monday, November 12th at 11 a.m. in Legacy Park. And then, Plane Crazy Saturday, November 17th, there were several people who wanted me to do a program about some of the adventures that Al and I have been on through the years. And we look at our pictures and think, did we really do that? We really did. Al was co-pilot on the B-29 T-Bird that actually burned up in Greenland, but Daryl and his crew spent 3 years getting her ready to go. All 4 engines were running and they were taxiing when somebody in the back of the airplane yelled fire. And it was tragic.
B-29s during the war.
Yeah, tragic accident. But anyway, and then we went out to Kwajalein and brought 5 C-7 Caribou home. And that's interesting, ferrying airplanes across the Pacific Ocean. Numerous HU-16 Albatrosses from all over the country, UH-1H helicopters, and C-123s. So that was just a few of the things that crazy things we used to do. Thank God we're retired. But I do have lots of pictures, and it'll be fun to make Al get up and talk in front of a crowd, because he hates that. So we'll do that on the 17th of November, and I'm just praying that it's a nice day like today. Thanks.
Thank you, Kathy. Any community announcements? If not, we'll move to item 3, consent agenda. This is non-controversial. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Deaver to approve.
Second.
Second by Mr. Allred. Is there any public comment? If there's no further discussion, then all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Action item 4A, staff report, please.
Good afternoon. Last meeting, we brought the media policy back to the board for discussion, and we're bringing it back to the board now for action. We have not made any changes from last meeting to this meeting. So unless the board would like to request any additional changes, we are requesting to adopt as presented.
Thank you very much. Any public comment?
Motion on the media policy.
Motion by Mr. Deaver to approve. Second by Mr. Balentine. If there's no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Being none, motion passes unanimously. 4B, staff report, please.
So one of the items we've been kind of considering over the past several weeks is insourcing the control tower. So our air traffic control tower is not required by the FAA. It's something that we've chosen to have as an actor in space. conducting about 20,000 operations per year doesn't put us in the same ballpark as some of the more active airports that have FAA towers. So over the years, we've just chosen to outsource it to various contractors to staff the tower for us. With the retirement of the 3 longtime controllers, that would have been Carl, Bill, and Dave, you may recall, were up there for quite a few years. We had a contract with a specific vendor. We had new controllers come in, and we've had a lot of turnover over the past year. So what John and I really discussed is if there's value in considering bringing these positions in-house and having them part of Mojave Spaceport team. And we think this is going to be the best option for the district in the long run. The cost is roughly the same. The additional cost really is going to be in the additional insurance policy that I'd like to recommend we adopt as well. But having these folks on as permanent controllers will give us a little bit more continuity. It will motivate them to just stay here instead of continuing to apply for various FAA jobs or military jobs. And that's what we're hoping to do, is to make it more of a long-term solution, so we're not constantly dealing with the turnover. And so what we're requesting of the board is to add these positions into the admin code as authorized positions. So we're requesting an air traffic control supervisor and air traffic control specialist, which would be both full-time and part-time. We're requesting approval on the addition of the positions.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions from the board?
Is that just 2 positions or specialists or multiple?
Multiple.
And they'll be working under John?
Any public comment? Chair will entertain a motion.
Motion approved.
Motion approved by Mr. Parker, second by Mr. Deaver. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed being none, that motion passes unanimously. Item 4C, staff report.
As a follow-on to taking on the control tower, and sourcing the control tower, we do recommend adopting a separate insurance policy for the control tower. We had a really hard time getting multiple brokers to bid on it, because once a broker requests the quote from various vendors, then that's pretty much it. They're not going to quote multiple vendors. So we had Assurance, and that because of that, we had Assurance essentially request quotes from multiple vendors, and received 3 responses back, right? 3 or 2?
Two
Okay.
that actually quote on the
Yeah,
tower.
two quoted on the tower, both a $10 million policy and a $25 million policy. So the $10 million policy is a $21,000 policy. The $25 million policy is $47,000. My recommendation is that we go with the higher policy, at least in the short term, until until we have a little bit more continuity in our tower, just to reduce some of the risk, reduce some of the potential liability.
Any questions from the board?
What does the policy actually cover? Does it just cover incidences or aircraft that would be controlled through the wrong airspace or something?
It's basically if there's a mishap of some sort that was a result of
A mistake of one of our controllers.
Any other questions from the board? Is there any public comment? The chair will entertain a motion.
I move we approve the insurance for the liability insurance for the control tower.
Which one, the $25 million level?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Deaver.
Oh, wait a second, no, the 40s.
Which one did you want?
The $25 million policy.
Yeah.
Mr. Deaver has made a motion to approve the $25 million policy for $47,727. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Allred. If there's no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed be none, motion passes unanimously. Item 4D.
All right, so it's also time for our general liability policy. So one of the caveats is whoever is underwriting the control tower also needs to have the general liability policy. The good news is the quote that we got back from Chubb is actually less than what we're currently paying the Star by $4,000-ish. But Assurance certainly recommends that we don't change it up every year. We need some continuity with the insurance carrier as well. So that's a caveat to the control tower insurance, is that the same carrier needs both. So we need to have whoever is underwriting the tower needs to underwrite the general liability.
Any questions from the board?
In the future, will these be just one policy brought together for quote? I know this is new because the tower's a new thing, but next go around, we'll get quotes from different vendors for the whole package.
Right.
Okay.
Yep, that's the intent for sure, especially because they're being renewed at the same time.
Motion to approve.
Is there any public comment? Motion to approve by Mr. Parker.
Second.
Second by Mr. Balentine. Being no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Being none, motion passes unanimously. 4D, or 4E.
4E is the sublease agreement. So Justin Steinmetz owns hangar 950. He has sublet this to, it's actually Zach Reader. The stat memo is incorrect. This is Chad Reader, Zach Reader. The document is correct. Right?
Yes.
So it's just kind of a standard policy, and anyone who subleases out the hangar they own has to technically get board approval, so we're just bringing this to, I have no reason to not recommend it. Zach is an employee of Scale, he's been
I don't know about Zach. He can be a little shady now.
He's from Texas.
I drank with him before.
Any questions from the board? Any public comment? Chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Mr. Parker, second by Mr. Deaver. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Being none, motion passes unanimously. Financial report, 5A.
These financial reports are for the month ending September 30th, finishing out our first quarter. You'll see on the bank balance, we have an increase of $143,000 as we close up the month. A lot of that is to the fuel sales we had in September. We sold 134,000 gallons in September. So just between the testing and the F-18. So definitely a healthy September for us. Happy to report there's no customers on the over 90 days right now.
Very good. It's nice to see.
Still on my shirt.
Good job, somebody.
So, yeah.
All right.
I have a question. Do we sell military fuel?
Yes.
Is that included in all this?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's not separate.
No, we do it separately on our accounts. We
Yeah.
have to keep it separated.
How fast do they
Price,
pay?
isn't it?
Huh?
How fast do they pay?
Pretty fast, because it's just like a credit card, so it's
Oh,
about
they use-
2 or 3
okay.
weeks, yeah. Yes, contract fuel, so.
What's nice is
So-
they come in and fill up with gas, then they go fly a sortie, and they come back and fill up again.
And go in
Yeah.
So the fighter,
restaurant.
so fighter pilot has his own credit card.
That's right.
Suppose they fly in the Middle East, he lands in Regatta, fills out his
No.
credit
That's
card.
not part, and they're
Yeah.
contract fuel as
Okay.
well.
It's
They're
DRW.
got fuel, so they'll pay in 2 to 3 weeks.
We could be a fighter pilot. All right. Any other questions? Being none, we move to item 5B, CEO report.
One thing I want to highlight for the folks here, 2 of our prestigious Mojave Airport pilots, Dick Rattan and Mike Melville, are being inducted into the California Aviation Hall of Fame next week. Yeah, Thursday the 15th, at the Santa Monica Museum of Flying. We're going to help them out by sponsoring the event. I encourage anyone who's able to go to attend.
We're going.
Good.
Yeah.
We're hoping for a good turnout down there. It does require an RSVP, but it is free to the public. Okay, so one thing I want to highlight to the board, just to make the board aware. So if you recall, about 3 years ago, we worked a hangar purchase agreement with Doug and Beth Triplett, where we're going to buy 1 hangar per year for 5 years. This is the 3rd year, so I just wanted the board to be aware that the December 4th board meeting, we will plan to bring the request for the $48,000 check payment for their hangar, for the next hangar.
Is that the last one we done already?
Which,
No,
Third
there's 2 more after this.
Okay,
which,
there's 5.
which hangar is it?
I don't remember. Lynn, do you remember what hangar number this one is?
963.
Okay.
I'll make a note of that.
I
I'm
can-
sorry.
I can tell you the full plan. I know what you're thinking.
Yes.
Okay. So speaking of the December 4th meeting, our next scheduled board meeting is November 20th, which is Thanksgiving week. In the event the board decides not to hold a meeting that week, then the next scheduled meeting would be December 4th. Staff does have a few things that we're working on right now, which might require board approval before December 4th.
I'd like to make a proposal to the board that we cancel the meeting of the 20th for Thanksgiving weekend, and if you need a special meeting the following Tuesday, we can put that together. Is everybody amenable to that?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Lynn, do you know of anything that might be an issue between now and December 4th?
So that's done.
That's all I really have for the announcements for this meeting.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions for putting on that?
And don't be afraid to call a special meeting if you need from what I understand.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
not a big deal to us to kind of.
All right, do any of the directors have, we have no committee, so do any of the directors have any comments?
I think Kathy had it.
I'm sorry.
No problem. I just wanted to add to something. AOPA was here recently, November 1st and 2nd. And it was their president's council, I guess, his inner circle of people who donate a lot of money is what bottom line. And it was a fabulous event, and they spared no expense, had a wonderful luncheon and magnificent banquet, and it was really a nice time. At the luncheon, General Kirk, who is 92, he spoke and told about what it was like in Edwards when he was there in the 50s, and told about Mojave Airport because he knew Dan Savovich and the Rattan boys, and he just kind of laid it out. But what a great guy he was, and boy, at 92 he was amazing. I hope I make it there to 92. But anyway, and then the dinner, Mike Melville spoke and about flying Spaceship One and, you know, being the first commercial astronaut. It was a tremendous presentation because Sally couldn't sit still. He kept saying something and then she'd jump up and grab the microphone. And it was really neat. But the question was to Sally, you know, what was it like for you? Well, my God, she was terrified. There's Mike doing 29 rolls straight up, and he's out of control and going over into Edwards airspace, and thank God the general was here, and Stu, he looked at Stu looked at him, and the general just made a phone call to Edwards and said, hey, it's okay. So it's just great that the cooperation between Mojave Air and Spaceport and Edwards Air Force Base. It's, I mean, we share the same airspace, but it was so neat. And then, you know, he did the thing with the M&Ms. He didn't ask permission because he knew that somebody'd say no. But he's up in weightlessness and he's scared to death, and he's throwing these M&Ms out and they're floating around, and he comes back down and Sally says, I picked up these M&Ms and I handed them to some of the firemen, and they just popped them in their mouth. They're just like, no, these M&Ms have been to space. Can you imagine? I think one M&M they sold somewhere at an auction, and it raised, I don't know,
$4,000.
Yeah, $4,000.
I still got my bag of M&Ms.
Do you? Very good, very good. But anyway, it was really wonderful that AOPA chose Mojave Air and Spaceport to have this special event, and it really was. And of course, they got to tour the Spaceship Company and straddle launch, and
That's good.
I'm sure that there were 2 busloads.
How much was the M&M again?
4,000. Yeah.
Harold ate his.
My daughter was smart. She sent 2 up, and she opened one, and she has the other one in the closed package still,
Yeah.
signed by all the guys.
That's awesome.
Wonderful.
All right, if the directors have nothing, then we will move into closed session. Is there any public comment on an item on the agenda? If there's not, now we will move into closed session. Thank you.